What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another edition of NFL Turf Talk. We are live here on the DSM Media Twitter channel, so make sure to check us out there first at DSM_media is where you can find us. Make sure to smash that follow button. And, of course, we are also live over on the DSM Turf Talk YouTube channel that you can see pulled up here on the screen underneath myself right now. You can find the link to that YouTube channel in the link tree in our bio. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, share it, friends, family, any other football fans that you may know of that could enjoy the content. We appreciate each and every one of you that tap in here with us each and every week. I'm one half of your host, Dylan Davis. To my right, my faithful co-host, Scotty. We're in the middle of it, man. We are in the middle of week 17. All playoff seeds almost locked up. We got a battle going on in the AFC North over the final week and a half. We have a battle going on over in the NFC South in the final week and a half, but everyone else is in a playoff spot. Seeding is what the last 2 weeks are going to come down to. Christmas Day had 3 games that were not so great. They weren't so great on paper. Obviously, going into these matchups when the NFL makes the scheduling before the year, I guess these look like pivotal matchups at this point in the season. Injuries, whatever the case may be, the way they played out, 90% of the teams at this point in these 6 were eliminated from playoff contention already. So not too much to get into there, but we will dabble into it. And then yesterday, obviously, you had 2 games with playoff implications. The Texans get a big win over the Chargers. I cannot believe this Houston team is 11-5, man, where we were talking about them back in late September, early October, the way they started this season. And then the Ravens go into Lambeau, albeit against Malik Willis, right? No Jordan Love in this one, but also no Lamar Jackson in this game as well. A battle of the backups. The Ravens drop 41. Derrick Henry, King Henry, pops off in this game. Packers now locked into the 7th seed in the NFC, probably continuing to rest, will rest starters next week, I would imagine. Ravens need a Pittsburgh loss today against Cleveland to continue and fight for their playoff lives. And then a full slate today. Long intro, but here we are, man. Get through today, and then we got 1 week before the postseason is upon us in January. Happy Sunday. Happy holidays, everyone. What is going on, brother?
Yes, sir. I appreciate the intro. You got us covered really nicely there, Dylan, so I appreciate you, brother. Happy holidays as well. Merry Christmas if that's what you celebrate. I know I do or did, but had a great holiday weekend, man, with the fam. I know we talked briefly over the holiday break, and I know you were having some fun too, so I'm happy that we got to spend some time with the fam. Now we can wrap this NFL season up. But man, I did want to ask you a question. I got 2 questions for you regarding that Packers and Ravens game last night, right? So one, Derrick Henry, right? Do you think that, because obviously the talk all season has been about his usage or lack thereof.
Yeah.
Is there any world where they were just like trying to preserve him? Like, is that like fair to even like try to think about?
So in 2 parts here, I think I come up with the same response to you, and that would be too little, too late. Too little, too late if you were trying to preserve him. And then too little, too late if this was just a game plan to come out with, because like we mentioned, now you need extra additional help. You don't just get to go and try to beat Pittsburgh in week 18 next week and win the division and get in the playoffs. You need help. Pittsburgh will be favored today against Shedeur Sanders and the Browns, so you need an underdog to come through for you. Look, Derrick Henry wasn't really doing himself any favors. Every week I would come on here and question how teams with top 3, top 5, top whatever you to want to talk about them in terms of rankings, type of running backs, right? Eagles with Saquon week to week, Derrick Henry in Baltimore, so on and so forth. And you 12 carries, 10 carries, 14 carries. It's just not nearly enough. But then each and every week, it feels like in a big spot, Derrick Henry's putting the ball on the ground. So you're not helping your case from that standpoint. Too little, too late for him, possibly. Too little, too late for the Ravens, possibly. But this is what we're alluding to when we question, even though he's fumbling this year, more often than he has in previous years. 36 for 216 and 4 scores. Against a very good defense. I know without Micah Parsons now and everything, against a very good defense in their crib. You don't have Lamar Jackson. I'm assuming Green Bay knew what was coming at them over and over and over again, and you couldn't stop it. And that's what makes you scratch your head like, This dude couldn't get the ball 20 times in other weeks, 22 times in other weeks. So too little too late is kind of what I'm feeling for Ravens land right now.
I do feel that. And to your point, it's like it's not like these games where we see Derrick Henry's touches kind of evaporate towards, especially in the second half of games. It's not like these games were blowouts where the Ravens had no chance, right? Like that last game that they had blown, I can't remember exactly who it was the previous week. Can you help me? Was it Cincinnati? Who did the Ravens play last week?
They just beat Cincinnati. Because remember, we were like, how does Cincinnati not score? They lost to New England last week.
Lost to New England last week. And it's like in the second half, you wonder where Derrick Henry went. And he was actually having a solid game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it does. It's
open it up with a big score.
It's just a little puzzling when you really start to think about what the Ravens have been doing this year. The other thing I wanted to point out was obviously the play of the backup quarterbacks. A lot was talked about on the broadcast last night about how the Ravens have looked just in Tyler Huntley, or Snoop Huntley, if that's what you want to call him, starts. And then on the other side of the football, man, I'm looking at the fucking Packers, and I'm looking at Malik Willis. And mind you, it's an eye test. It's a one-game like sample size that I'm getting to see there last night. Part of me wonders if he could be better in that offense than fucking Jordan Love. Like, and that's no disrespect to Jordan Love. It's just that dual threat ability that Malik Willis was showing. And he was kind of flinging the ball around, at least early in that game, got Christian Watson involved in the game. I'm not jumping to any conclusion. It's just something, it was a takeaway from watching that game. It was very interesting to see it play out the way it did.
Yeah, no, so I do want to give Malik Willis credit. He balled out last night, like you mentioned. Not just obviously got into the end zone twice on the ground, 9 for 60, but also was very efficient, 18 for 21. And for a guy that just hasn't played a lot of real football since becoming a Packer, 288, had 134 rating, right? Only took 1 sack in this game. To me, I'm just, when I continue to, kind of look at it from the Baltimore side of things. Now, you held them to 24 points. It's not terrible. It's not good either. That defense, man, to go along with everything else that they have, in problem land in Baltimore, that defense is Swiss cheese. And it's just going to continue to be Swiss cheese. Yeah, you can't allow Malik Willis to come in there. And like you mentioned, maybe the legs become a factor and he's efficient on the ground or whatever the case may be.
Maybe,
for Malik Willis to come in and torch that secondary, and like keep going back to that word of fit. You go 18 for 21 in Lambeau, or, on the road, coming in, not having, played a lot of football. Well, you're at home, obviously, excuse me, but not having played a ton of football with Jordan Love there.
Yeah.
That's an impressive thing to do, but it's also an indictment on the other side of the line of scrimmage. So, Baltimore, I just don't think they're a very good football team, and I think we've known that for weeks now. I think they are what they are at this point. Look, if Pittsburgh loses today, which we'll get into that game in a little while here, it'll make things very interesting from an entertainment standpoint next week with that game. I just don't see it happening, and I think Baltimore isn't going to have anything to play for next week.
Yeah, and I think Pittsburgh has been, to your point, just bringing them up. I just think they've been playing some better football of late. They've been putting some wins together, right? And that's an accomplishment in itself once you figure out how to win. And I think they're starting to find a little bit of an identity, I guess you could call it. Like their identity appears to be a duo in the backfield, right? Jaylen Warren, you get him involved in the run game, and then you bring Gainwell in. He's kind of that receiving threat out of the backfield. He's been getting involved a lot more. But Aaron Rodgers, he's been playing like better since he got injured, which is just really weird. But maybe it's just timing, of getting comfortable with the offense, getting comfortable with the roster and such. But to your point, they just look like a much better football team than the Baltimore Ravens right now. And they do got a tough game against Cleveland because Cleveland's just annoying, right? And it's in division. It's going to be tough. They struggle against Myles Garrett. But I feel like they'll find a way to win, man. I really do feel like they'll find a way to win against Cleveland, to your point.
Yeah, no, I do agree. And they are hitting a little bit of a stride at the moment. They've won 3 straight. And then obviously the impressive win came last week in Detroit.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Detroit as well. Eliminated from the playoffs. Dan Campbell, his job, his future there in Detroit, the indictment that this season was, and just goes to show, like, as an Eagles fan, and I know we'll talk about this on other shows as well, but like, it's not easy to consistently win and consistently make the playoffs. And that's, to follow it back, it's what Mike Tomlin does. Now, I think the Mike Tomlin thing is a little played out. You can be a game above 500. You can be 500 year in, year out. At some point, I think you got to move on. But he has his team in another position to win 10 or 11 games, win this tough division, and get into the postseason and host the game. So you do have to give credit there. They did just beat Baltimore, the team we're talking about a few weeks ago in Baltimore. They took care of business against Miami. So 3 straight at Cleveland today. We know what that defense can do. We'll see what Shador can do on the other side of the field. Pittsburgh 4.5-point favorites. I would assume that team will do just enough. I think that game in Cleveland is going to be really ugly. I do want to ask you about the total in a couple minutes, because the total is like 35.5 or something.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
I don't know how I don't do it. I don't know how I can't put that number in.
I feel you, man. I really do.
You, like, I don't know, like 17-16 type of vibes in Cleveland or something like that defensively. The question will be, what does Pittsburgh's defense look like today? Because they have had big meltdown spots and have been torched this season as well.
And I think TJ Watt is still out with the lung injury, which is super weird. I learned a little bit about that this weekend. I guess that's from like acupuncture therapy, and they like punctured one of his lungs.
I think so.
That's wild. But
didn't something like, isn't that how Justin Herbert got the start his rookie year? Like, remember, like Tyrod Taylor was supposed to start, and they like ended up like puncturing his lung or something, giving him an injection or something like that.
Yeah.
And then Herbert came in against, I believe, Kansas City and Mahomes, and slung that thing all over the field, which I think is a perfect segue into the other game that took place last night.
Yes,
Herbert and the Chargers lose at home against the Texans and CJ Stroud. Texans and CJ Stroud come out and make a statement immediately, 75 yards to the crib to start that game. They jump out to a 14-0 lead early, and they never look back. Now, obviously, this game ends in a 4-point difference, so it became a game later on the fourth quarter. But this Texans team felt like they had control for 99% of this one. This defense, as we talk about a lot with this team, has been their identity. It's been very good, but you are starting to get a lift from the offense. Now, the offense didn't have a ridiculous output yesterday, right? You scored 20 points, 14 coming in the first quarter. That's not the greatest day. That's not the greatest day at the office. Right? CJ Stroud throws 2 interceptions. Not the greatest day at the office as well.
They were ugly too.
Yeah. But you are starting to get more explosiveness within this offense, right? Nico Collins recently feels like he's getting a little bit back to that top or, higher level type of receiver that we viewed him as, that you weren't getting earlier on in the year. So with this defense is championship ready. We've known this. The offense was the thing that was always going to hold them back. You're getting enough big plays out of them right now to win football games. This was a big win in LA. That was an 11-win Charger team at the moment on prime time. So the Texans, man, obviously battling with Jacksonville for the AFC South Division, which we'll talk about. But how are you feeling? Let's start there. How are you feeling about this Texans team when you look at a crowded, different AFC, right? No Mahomes, possibly no Lamar. You have no Burrow and the Bengals in there. How dangerous can a Texans team with this level of defense be in a win-or-go-home scenario in January?
Yeah, man. I think it's a great question. And yes, D-Rab, I am standing at my stand-up desk. Got that for Christmas, so I'm pretty excited for it. Got the mic situation. I got to figure that out, but we'll get that figured out as time goes on. But no, I think Houston is very dangerous, man. Looking at the win streak that they're on right now, they're playing some winning football. You mentioned the defense specifically. When you look in that AFC, there's not a better defense. And I even mean that when you talk about the Broncos as well. I think Houston's defense is just more aggressive, a little more physical, a little more ferocious. And they're not afraid to play dirty either, which it's not the most appealing to the casual fan, but it can help you out when it comes down to toughness, physicality in that postseason when it gets cold out, right? Because they'll probably be playing away from home. No, I think they're very dangerous, right? And you look at that AFC and you ask yourself, who is the top dog? The Jaguars? The Broncos? Like,
Right.
who are we believing in
The
this postseason? It feels like it's
Patriots.
Buffalo's time, right? But
Right. But
is Josh Allen going to be able to do enough? That defense is not good in Buffalo
well,
compared to like Houston and Denver, right?
and we can go back to, I believe it was a Monday night in Houston a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
Josh did
great
not play
point.
well, scored 19 points, and that Houston defense did enough to get the win over Buffalo.
Yeah, no, you are spot on. Did CJ Stroud play in that game?
That's a great question. Was that Davis Mill? Hold on. Now you've intrigued. Now you've intrigued me. Hold on.
23,
23-19.
it was Davis Mills.
Yeah.
So, I mean, to each their own. I mean, some were trying to argue. I was even in that field.
At the time, CJ Stroud was
like,
not playing well.
Is it because Davis Mills is playing and not making the mistakes that CJ Stroud made? But then CJ Stroud comes back and they're winning football games and he's playing a lot better. So, I don't know, man. The interceptions were
gotta cut that out
yesterday. You got to cut that shit out, but we do know the Chargers defense at the same time is opportunistic. They're a good defense as well in LA. But what did you think watching Herbert, man? Because I will be honest, bro. For the first time in my life, I probably felt bad for Justin Herbert and like the way he was just getting demolished out there, man. That offensive line,
it's been beat up all year. Well, obviously they were missing
beat
all.
Up. Yeah, that's fair.
I think they're missing both tackles. I think they've been missing both tackles. Obviously,
Rashawn Slater is their
lost
guy,
before the seasons, and then what was it? Joel Alt?
Yeah, because he moved over to the other side and then he goes down.
Yeah, so they are demolished there, like you mentioned. Herbert's their leading rusher yesterday. Actually had some success on the ground, averaged over 6 yards a carry. But then you get Hampton involved. He averaged 2.1 yards per carry, dude.
Yeah, they were getting stuffed.
Destroyed. And that's, tip your cap to that Houston defense. You said the word, I believe I heard you say it at the end, ferocious. And that's what comes to mind when I think about them.
Yeah.
You add, they're just very physical up front. And then you add, arguably the best corner in football, can be the best corner in football, and Derek Stingley Jr. at times. Yeah, you do feel a little bad. Obviously, you also have the hand issue that's been going on with Herbert throughout the last couple of weeks as well. Didn't play terribly. Obviously, didn't play good enough to go and get the win at home. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see, man. Houston, is that the best defense in the NFL in your eyes? Like, clearly, would you say that? Or like Eagles come to mind? Like, and I'm trying not to be biased.
Right.
I think the Eagles are top 5. I think Denver's obviously top 2, top 3.
Yeah. I think obviously on any given week, I think, especially being a Birds fan and having Vic Fangio at your disposal is a beautiful thing. Yeah. So any given week, the Eagles can be the best defense in football. I think any given week, the Broncos can put on a clinic. But I think consistently, what do you know you're going to get from Houston each and every week? That is that physicality on defense. And that is that in your face. You're not going to be able to run the ball all that effectively. They're going to get to the quarterback. And then they have guys on the back end that are going to be opportunistic and turn you over as well. I think Houston's the most intimidating defense, I think, in the National Football League.
That is my thought exactly. And they give you hints of that San Fran defense from a few years back. Just has DeMeco Ryans like written all over it, right? Yeah. Like that's his personality. That's what he's going to bring to a unit. So, no, I agree, man. Houston's looking dangerous going forward for sure.
Before we get to today's games, I do just want to follow back to that one point of conversation we mentioned. The Lions lose on Christmas Day.
Yeah.
And they don't just lose, bro. They scored 10 points.
Yeah.
And they played Max Brosmer or Brosmer.
Sure.
Brosmer, we'll go with. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Scotty, he threw for 51 yards.
Right.
And the Lions lost by 13. Jared Goff was awful. They got to Goff often. They obviously turned him over twice. They couldn't run the ball. Gibbs and Montgomery combined for 2.5 yards per carry, just under 2.5 yards per carry. Yeah. Goff, they fumbled 4 times and lost 4 fumbles. They turned the ball over 6 times in this game, scored 10 points. Forget about playing Max Brosmer and your defense being the issue all year long. This offense, which is supposed to be the staple, right? I know you're missing pieces. I know you've been missing Sam Laporta, which is obviously big. But, you do have that running back duo. You do have Amon-Ra. You do have J-Mo. You do still have a lot of talent. And Goff shit his pants. They're now eliminated from playoff contention, man. Dan Campbell, How overrated is Dan Campbell? Let me ask you that. Dude gets a lot of love from a lot of big names, from a lot of analysts, from a lot of former football guys, and he's rah-rah, and he's tough, and he'll bite your ear off, and he's aggressive. He always goes for it on fourth down, and you got a fake punt, and you got this, and you got that. All you've had is one NFC Championship appearance, letdowns in the postseason, and now you don't make the playoffs after losing Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson last year. Now, I know that's difficult to overcome. No one knows that more than an Eagles fan when we see the discrepancies between play callers year in and year out. I understand what losing a Ben Johnson can do to you, okay? 8-8, losing to Max Brosmer on Christmas to eliminate you from even making the playoffs?
Yeah. And you think about some of their performances, man, this is going to throw a shot at the Eagles, even in a sense. That loss that I actually had to sit out in the cold and watch that shit show of a game. To go out there and lose like that, right? They scored 9 fucking points with this prolific offense that they're supposed to have. You talk about what the Eagles offense is supposed to be this season. The Lions are in the same boat, if not more, right? But you look at it and you see Ben Johnson leave. You see this offense just start to look like a shell of itself. You see Jared Goff with the turnovers. They can't protect him. They haven't been able to get the run game going as much as they would like to in past years. And it just puts me in this space, man. And I talked about it on the last episode right before Christmas. But what do the Lions do next? Like, Jared Goff is locked into a contract, right? You got your wide receivers locked into contracts. You got your running backs locked up, right? It's paid for. But how do you make upgrades to this roster, to this team? And so, I start to look at the head coach, because what is the most expendable piece
Absolutely.
of the
We'll
core,
always go first,
right?
We'll always go first.
I think it's going to be the coach, man. And then maybe Jared Goff's head would roll, but I don't think they're going to move off. They can't move off of Jared Goff.
No, financially,
you know what I mean? Like,
financially, no. Unless your name's Howard Roseman, no. Most GMs don't find a way to move on from a guy they paid, over $100 million, 150, whatever Jared Goff is getting from Detroit right now. I always go back to the Carson Wentz thing, right? Carson's the guy. He pays him. A year later, he finds a way to move on, and then Jalen Hurts is the cornerstone, right? Just boom, immediately. No, not many other, if any other franchises are able to accomplish that. I think you and I think a lot of people would agree. I would assume, Hunter, I would assume D-Rab, like that's a Lions problem. That is a financially irresponsible thing to do. Jared Goff is fine. Jared Goff is cool. Jared Goff could operate Ben Johnson's offense in previous years at a high level, right? We know what this Lions offense has done in previous years. Jared Goff is just not a difference maker. Jared Goff is just not the guy that is going to elevate others, is going to elevate players when times get tough. Jared Goff's not the guy that you're going to look to in the huddle with 2 minutes left and 1 minute and 50 seconds left to take you down and get the job done. And on top of it, I just don't even view Jared Goff as that, foundational game manager. Jared Goff poops his pants in big moments.
He will turn the ball over.
He will turn the ball over. Like,
I think they've peaked. I think that's what's happened. I think they've hit their peak in previous seasons, and that's it. Like, I don't know. Unless they are able to move on from a Goff or just try something new outside of Dan Campbell. And then I'm not saying Dan Campbell deserves to be fired either.
No.
It's his first season without the coordinator, but he's on the block.
I just think Dan Campbell has gotten an unprecedented amount of
praise
and respect because of how many years, dude? Sirianni was doing the same thing. They would both be aggressive in previous years. I know I sound like a hater because I'm bringing up I'm just using it as an example. One coach is aggressive and gets called a dummy, and he's the reason his team's losing and costing his team games and everything. And then Dan Campbell's doing the same thing, but he gets praised because he's consistent. He does it on a time-to-time basis, and he's I'm gonna rip your ear off like. It's outplayed. It's overwhelmed. I think at this point, I don't see a future with Goff and Campbell and them. And then on the other side, man, what do you do defensively? How many holes do you have to fill defensively while already paying a lot of money on the other side of the ball? So I do agree. I think they've hit their peak. Little worried because as you're talking about everything there, it's making me think about the Phillies.
Uh-huh.
It's the NFC Championship game a couple years ago for the Lions, and it's gone this way. And obviously the Phillies aren't missing the playoffs or anything like that recently, but that concerns me a bit. But
that's the thing with sports, man. At the end of the day, to be fair to the Lions, if you're healthy, who knows, right? If your offensive line's healthy, who knows? They can't do it. Jared Goff can't do it until he does it, to be fair. So that's the other side of the conversation, to be fair to the Lions. But
I just don't think Jared Goff. I just don't think Jared Goff has shown anything to make you believe there's even like something there to do it. And Jared Goff's been to a Super Bowl. Not many quarterbacks can say they've been to a Super Bowl. Jared Goff's been to one. Do you remember what happened in that Super Bowl offensively? I mean, it's arguably the worst offense. It's one of the most boring, worst offensive output Super Bowls ever. Yeah. Tom Brady gets a ring for that mockery.
Right.
What did the Rams score 3 or 6? I can't remember.
I want to say 3 points, but I could be wrong. Man. That was a shit show.
Yeah, and that's him in the big, and that's his offense in the biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
That's the history you have.
I wanted to ask you one more question.
Yeah, we got
time. How long is that Ben Johnson move in division gonna haunt this Lions team?
Yeah, especially with them locking up the division now, right? 11 wins for the Bears.
Caleb Williams' first year with Ben Johnson.
Yeah, and it really makes you think, to D-Rab's point, like, you lose a coordinator and he goes on. Now, it's not always the case, right? Like, obviously, the Eagles lose Kellen Moore this year. Kellen Moore's team has, 3 wins on the season?
Right.
So it's not always, the mastermind, the great young play caller goes on and, proves that the coach didn't, do much and whatever. Right. It goes both ways. But in this scenario, the Lions are looking bad. There's nothing you were going to do, though, right? Like, besides him going in division, which you still can't help. It's not like you trade him in division.
Right. You're not going to fire Dan Campbell.
Right. He was one of the most sought after head coaching vacancies. Why would he stay and be an offensive coordinator? When he can go and be a head coach. Now, I do want to throw this out there, kind of unrelated, like a Kellen Moore, for instance. I don't know. It's funny. I can't tell you off the top of my mind the pay discrepancy. I don't know Kellen Moore, for instances. I don't know what he makes as New Orleans head coach compared to what he would have made if he re-signed as the Eagles OC, right? Obviously, there's a pay gap. But either way, it's a nice living. I truly believe, I don't know until those zeros
go back.
I don't know if those zeros were printed on paper in front of me that I would keep the same mentality. I would assume I would prefer to be an offense coordinator making a lot of money on a Super Bowl contending team than be the head coach on a dumpster fire where I'm probably out on my ass in 2 years.
Yeah, max.
If I don't turn this thing around.
Because who's your quarterback next year? Yeah, we'll see. But no, that's a great point. It's a great point because I think and just because you brought up Kellen Moore, I think the big thing with him is he's been a head coach in the past, right?
Before.
Was it Denver that he was at before?
I don't remember.
Was it the Chargers maybe?
Or no, Kellen Moore I think Kellen has he been a head coach before?
Did he just get skipped over? And
I think he was just constantly passed over. He was the OC. It was I remember Dallas Chargers were Herbert, Eagles.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe OC. He wasn't. I take that back. I take what I was going to say back. Yeah, maybe he wasn't a head coach. Because I was just going to say, if you've had experience of kind of like Fangio. Fangio's a little bit older, but you know what I mean. If you've had disappointments in the past trying to manage an entire football team, you may just want to stick with coordinator and just get that check. And you don't have to take as much heat as the head coach, right? The head coach gets blamed for everything. So
absolutely.
I feel you.
Think about all the fun you had in February last year, Kellen, and January. And think about
there was a point where he seemed like he was coming back too. So he was definitely like in the middle on that. You know what I mean?
I mean, Nick tried to bring him back. Let's run that shit back, Kellen, and he obviously didn't. And I was wrong though. The Saints are 5-10, 2 games to be played. They're a 1.5 favorite today. The Saints have an opportunity to win 6 or 7 games with you and me being shuffled in at quarterback this season.
Alvin Kamara
So
hasn't played much.
hey,
Yeah.
Kellen's doing a decent job for the hand that's been dealt, what he walked into in New Orleans recovering. But look, man, let's get into today's slate. There's not a lot to get into. This won't be too much longer of a show. Obviously, one of the biggest game on the schedule today takes place with the Eagles in Buffalo. We're going to talk about that in a little while over on the DSM pregame show. So X-nay that one here. Let's start with that AFC North game. Obviously the Browns 3-win team, not really in the conversation here, but it comes down to the Steelers, right? If you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, you win, you are in. You win, you are hosting a playoff game in 2 weeks. That is a big deal, okay? Yeah. 4.5-point favorites. I mentioned the total earlier. Let's start there from a gambling perspective, Scotty.
See, because I
roll the dice.
I saw 33.5.
Really? I'm only on the ESPN website, so let me go and check what DraftKings or Fanatics would look like right now. But is that something that you would consider with these two offenses today?
Yeah, no, I think, when you even if you say it's the 35.5, I was pulling it up right now just to see. Yeah, it is 35.5 on DraftKings.
But you can get 34.5 at -128 on DraftKings.
So yeah, that's the move. To answer your question, I think it is a good play. I think Shedeur Sanders is going to try to come out with this Cleveland offense and play spoiler today. I think
they can do a little bit on offense right now. A little bit.
But yeah, I think Cleveland can move the ball. They were able to get 20 points against the Bills last week. The Bills are
slight problem though, not to cut you off. Quinshon Judkins out for the season with a gruesome injury. So
interesting.
So that kind of puts a damper on Cleveland's offense. But
I guess when you're looking at 35, what are you asking? You're asking if the Browns can score what?
16 or 17.
Right? Like, because the Steelers, what? Against Cleveland.
Can Cleveland get us 16 points would be my question. And I think with that Steelers defense and the holes that they have, like you mentioned, with a TJ Watt right now being out, I do think that's somewhat reasonable. I also think with that Cleveland defense, maybe putting their offense in a position to score and turning over, Pittsburgh. Maybe, I don't know. I'm asking for straw. I'm grasping at straws here, but a defensive touchdown. I don't know.
It's possible, man. The books are looking at this game, right, with that line in mind, 35.5. They're looking at the Browns over under 15.5 points, and they're looking at the Steelers over under 19.5. My biggest thing looking at that is that I think the Steelers can score more than 21 points in this game. I think they could score in the 24 range of this game. Must-win game, need to win. You need to get points on the board.
If you go over on Fanatics, man, you get the Steelers over 20.5 at plus 100.
Interesting.
So 21 points plus 100 for Pittsburgh.
So it's like, do you just go with that?
It's intriguing. I'll tell you that.
It's just, I guess just to play devil's advocate, the only caveat with that is, what if the Browns do play some type of spoiler today on bullshit, even up that division? Now you got Ravens back in it, and they're, playing big game next week. So it could play out that way. You cover yourself by taking the game over in case the Browns do somehow win this game. But I guess to that point, if the Browns win, it's probably not going over. To be fair.
I don't know. I don't know, because I'm trying to figure it. 31-29 against the Titans a few weeks ago.
Nah, Warrens, we're not talking spread or money line.
Yeah,
we're just talking over.
Points.
Over under, right? Not taking the
30, 35 yards. Or 35 yards. Can I get 35 points in this game would be the question.
I think so, man.
I think so. Like I mentioned, man, if Cam Ward and the Titans can put up 31 on this defense, I think it's a reasonable expectation that Pittsburgh will. And you mentioned that Pittsburgh team total, Scotty. Let me give you a little something here. In the Browns' losses, okay, they have given that up in every game except week 1 against the Bengals. So in week 1 against the Bengals, Joe Burrow beat them 17-16. In their losses this year, the Browns have given up 41, 34, 21, 23 to the Steelers, 32, 27, 23, 26, 31, 31, and 23 last week. In their wins, they have won 24-10, so they gave up 10, 31-6, so they gave up 6, and 13-10, so they gave up 10. Two of those three, the previous ones, were against the Raiders and the Dolphins. So the only game in which they won and held a good team was that Packers game in which Jordan Love played terribly back in September in week 3. Right. So even though this Cleveland defense is really good, right, they're still an awful football team.
They get put in bad spots.
In their 12 losses, 11 of them, they've given up 21 or more points.
Yeah.
And that's what you'd be looking at for the Steelers today.
Yeah. I think, it's Steelers probably the play there. If you think they're going to win, they should score 21. So, yeah, I think that's the play, brother. I think that's the play.
We'll see.
Who do you think's going to win, though?
Give me Pittsburgh, man. Obviously, anything can happen, like you mentioned. You know, Cleveland's going to want to go out, and obviously, from an entertainment standpoint, I wouldn't mind a Browns win because that means Week 18, Pittsburgh, Baltimore for all the marbles, right? That's obviously very entertaining.
Fun. Yeah.
I just don't see it happening, right? Like, we talk all we want about Myles Garrett and that defense. You're 3-12. What grace am I supposed to be giving you today to predict that you're going to win? Right. Not to say it can't happen, it's never going to happen. But why am I going to sit here and be like, you know what, man? Give me Shador, no Quinshawn. Give me Shador and the Browns to beat the Steelers and keep them out of the playoffs at least for the time being. I'm not doing that.
And Baltimore doesn't deserve an opportunity, if I'm being completely honest, man. Like, they don't deserve a chance next week. They've been really bad this season. They haven't been able to beat any good teams. I feel like Pittsburgh has beaten a few good teams here and there. They've kind of shocked me in a few spots. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to take Pittsburgh as well. It's in Cleveland. Let's just control Myles Garrett, man. He can wreck a game for sure. But, I'm with you. Where we go next, brother?
I guess we go over to Jacksonville, Indianapolis. Now, obviously, the Colts eliminated, which is not funny because obviously Daniel Jones tears his Achilles and, Phillip Rivers has to come back and everything that's going on there. But the Colts were hitting their downward spiral before Daniel Jones actually did get injured. And at one point, I think they had like a 91% chance of making the postseason or winning the AFC South. Up until like a week or two ago where they were at like 6%. Now they're eliminated. We talked about Houston earlier, their counterpart, who's also at 11 wins, battling with them right now. Jacksonville, got to go on the road, got to get a win today against a division rival. Rivers has not looked bad, man. Obviously, put them in a position to beat Seattle in Seattle 2 weeks ago, lose on a game-winning field goal kick by Myers. Last week, obviously got beat up by the 49ers, but Phillip Rivers was coming out slinging that rock, okay? So hasn't looked terrible. Jags, 3.5-point favorites. I'm going to go with the Jags, right? I'm not going to go too far here and say they're going to lose this game outright. But what I want to ask you, not even ask you, what I just want to say I'm keeping my eye on today, can Trevor Lawrence continue to be this level of Trevor Lawrence that we're getting this season? Now, he has 11 interceptions on the year. That's not a number that you really want to see if you are a Jags fan. But Trevor Lawrence, Scotty, he's been good this year. I think Trevor Lawrence gets a lot of hate from his past, from their shortcomings, from their collapses, in what was that? Was that week 17? Or no, they beat the Colts a couple years ago when Wentz was there and played spoiler for them as well. But he catches a lot of flack, and he's been very good this year. And they've been on a winning streak of their own. They have a chance to win their 12th game this afternoon.
Yeah.
I'm looking at if Trevor Lawrence can go into Indianapolis against still a pretty good defense, or a division rival that wants to keep you out of the playoffs, and continue to play solid football. That's what I want to see today, because that will give, I guess, myself a little more confidence in what the Jags may potentially be able to do in an AFC playoff picture. Whereas if he comes out and he comes up short in this moment, or he turns the ball over in this moment, or is missing throws in this moment, we're going to have the same questions that we've been talking about when it comes to Trevor Lawrence not being the guy we expected him to be out of Clemson.
Yeah, no, I agree with a lot of what you said there, man. My eyes go directly to Trevor Lawrence today because they've been in spots like this before. I don't think they've ever been 11-4 during Trevor Lawrence's time. That's incredible where they're at right now. So it's not to say this team is the same as teams from the past in Jacksonville, right? But I think you do have to be at least semi-skeptical of Trevor Lawrence going into the postseason, given some of the history. And I think he's in that camp of like Justin Herbert and the hypothetical guys, right?
Yeah.
If they had this around them, if they played this team in the playoffs, they could have made it. No, you just got to find a way to push through, and I think the Jags are doing that. But to your point, they've been in a spot where they can kind of lock things down in their division before. They fell short. You need to see him just step up, do what he needs to do today, and go beat a team that you're supposed to beat today.
Yeah.
The thing that stuck out to me with the Jags, they do have the number 1 rush defense in the NFL, so they can kind of, make that
limit Jonathan Taylor, make old man Rivers have to come out and sling it again and beat them in this one. No, I do agree. Their defense has been very good. And you're starting, obviously, this is without Travis Hunter. You're starting to get some of those playmakers going. ETN's been very good for them as well. So I do like the Jags to win this one, but this just, if there was, how I mentioned, well, why would I give Cleveland that grace? If there was a matchup, if there was a team that I could see playing a spoiler role today, I do think it may be in Indianapolis where Phillip Rivers gets his first win as a Colts. And, and Trevor Lawrence throws 2 interceptions and something that's in the headlines. So, yeah. I will ride it out with the Jags right now, but that would be the least surprising fate to me in the early slate. Last game that I want to look at in the early slate, unless you have any others, man, Seattle, Carolina. Carolina needs to win to stay above Tampa Bay, which I think we were obviously talking about this pregame. If Carolina was to win, it wouldn't totally eliminate Tampa Bay, but it would put Tampa Bay in action to have to win today against Miami and Tua. Now they're playing at the same time, so obviously no one's going to know what's going on there. But Carolina at home, Bryce Young playing very well. Here comes Sam Darnold on the Seahawks. Man, this game to me has the potential to be like the ultimate Looney Tunes type of action. Like,
I do feel you.
You have obviously, Bryce Young, the younger quarterback, give him some freeway here, but you just, to me, have 2 quarterbacks that could melt down at any moment. You have Carolina with a game advantage, just beat Tampa Bay to take that advantage in their division, can control their own destiny as of right now. Obviously, very difficult task with Seattle's defense coming to town. But you finally get a little bit of control, and he could melt down. Seattle beats the Rams in one of the craziest football games, let alone Thursday night football games we've seen. Takes control of the 1 seed. And I could just see Sam Darnold pissing down his leg again today. He's got 13 picks on the season. Turned the ball over multiple times in that win last week. This could be Looney Tunes action, man. I think Seattle still wins this game. I think even if Sam Darnold was to turn the football over 2 times in this one, I think that defense is too good where I just can't see Bryce Young, Carolina, sustaining enough 6-point scoring possessions in this one to beat them.
No, I do feel you, man. I think you laid that game out really well because you read a lot of my mind here, man. I'm looking at this game. It's super, just weird to me. The Panthers have been a weird team all year. They beat teams that they're not supposed to beat, but then they lose to the New Orleans Saints when they have a chance to take a stronghold on the division. So their defense tends to step up. They can get some turnovers. They can make things sloppy. Bryce Young has played a lot better this season, to your point. So I think there's, I guess what I'm trying to say, there is a chance Carolina could beat Seattle, right? Just like you said, Sam Darnold meltdown. I do agree with you. Ultimately, I think the proof is in the pudding with Seattle. I think they are great defensively.
All around. Yeah.
I mentioned top 5 defenses earlier. I think you have to put Seattle in that top 5 notion as well. They've been really good. And then on the other side, if Sam Darnold is, looking a little shaky today, you go ahead and you run that football, play some conservative ball, and you can maybe make the Carolina Panthers beat themselves in today's game. It's one of those things. I do think Seattle is the better team. Being on the road, Carolina Panthers back on the wall, anything can obviously happen. but I do agree with you. I think Seattle ultimately wins this game. Do they cover 7.5? Well, at least that's what I saw.
That's probably where I wouldn't touch, right? Because, in a big moment like this, sure, like I would like to take the home team getting a touchdown, at least 6.5 or something like that right now.
Right.
Fighting for their division lives, right?
Could
But
easily.
that game has the potential, when I say Looney Tunes, to turn so ugly in a weird way. Like I mentioned, it could be that type of weird game because Darnold, craps his pants and turns the football over. But it could also be where Bryce Young comes out. Seattle goes up 7-0. Bryce Young comes out, strip sack. Seattle goes up 14-0, and now all hell's breaking loose on that side of the ball.
Yeah.
So no, I wouldn't touch it. I would like to want to take a touchdown. As the home team, in the playoff implication type of game, but I won't do it now.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I do feel you because at the same time, Sam Darnold could come out today, play lights out, and JSN has a career day like he's been having a career year, and they blow them out. That's very possible. No, I pulled up this comment from Terry. Obviously, welcome to the show, Terry. It's all right. It's late. We are probably just about to talk about their
yes. Last game to get into before we hop off.
Worked out perfectly, but Seattle. You got to win to keep that edge on San Fran, man.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that game next week it's going to be crazy next week, regardless. San Fran and Seattle, but San Fran's right there. They're on the heels, and obviously the Rams are right there too.
They are, and big game in the Bay Area tonight, Sunday Night Football. This game could mean a lot, and we'll know that answer around 7:15, 7:30.
Right.
From a Bears point of view, the Eagles 2-seed hopes, if they do, whatever they do, or if they are fighting for seeding here still, you would host 2 playoff games instead of 1 as a 2 versus 3. So that is important. People should not underplay that, right? You want to go on the road as a 2 seed until the NFC title game, and that's if the 1 seed is still in it, right? So, things can change there. If the Eagles beat Buffalo at 425, then the Bears need to win to keep that pace.
I'm glad you pointed that out.
If the Eagles lose, I'm assuming Chicago wouldn't just come out a half hour before the game and be like, oh, guys, well, we don't have to play anyone or whatever. But maybe Caleb and them play a half. I don't know. I don't know what they'll decide to do with 2 games still remaining. But the Eagles lose, Chicago's the 2 seed. Eagles win, Chicago 8-20 has to win to take the 2 seed. If Chicago loses, it comes down to week 18 against Detroit, and then the Eagles get the Washington Commanders for that 2 versus 3 battle. So from that standpoint, we'll know how important it is following Bills, Eagles.
Yeah.
From the other standpoint, man, in San Francisco world, this game still means a whole hell of a lot regardless. So they're going to come out 3.5-point favorites.
Do you just take San Fran -3 right now and just,
Yeah, and I'm not gonna lie to you, Scotty. I like it anyway, man. Like, don't get me wrong.
I agree.
We gave props to Ben Johnson and the Bears earlier. Winning this division is a big deal, right? And as packed of a division as it's been, and turning things around as quickly as he did. Yeah. But when you keep asking me, on the show week after week right now, what team would you want to see the most? Well, outside of whoever wins the NFC, South, the Bears would come next in line probably for me. Yeah. And that's going to remain the same. I'd rather play the Bears as an Eagles fan than play San Francisco as an Eagles fan.
I agree.
And I'll take the Niners tonight, whether this game means anything to Chicago or not.
Yeah, that's why I say maybe you just take San Fran -3 now, because if the Eagles do lose, then that spread's going to widen, right? So get ahead of it. But, yeah, I like San Fran in this game as well. Now, George Kittle is doubtful. I think they've gotten healthy. Brock Purdy's healthy. CMC's playing at an elite level right now. And I think that's the biggest thing in this game. The Chicago Bears can get beat on the ground. And I think CMC is going to have a huge night at home tonight. The big thing for Chicago, they're number 1 in the NFL in turnover differential. I think they're plus 21 in that regard. So their defense does get turnovers. They do give themselves great opportunities on offense in that regard. But, need Brock Purdy to protect the ball tonight is what I'm getting at. He can have those games where he has 2-3 interceptions if he's letting it fly out there. Need to keep that controlled, focus on getting CMC involved heavily, and I think they'll take care of business at home, man. But I agree, man. I think Chicago, it's not to, just throw all of this shade at Chicago or disrespect them in any regard, but you're talking about a first-year head coach and a second-year quarterback that has looked shaky at times, even this season. So, yeah, I would rather play the Bears than any NFC West team in any regard. I'm not trying to play the 49ers or the Rams in the first fucking round. Like, I'm just not. I'm not. Seahawks, all right. Like, I'm not trying to see the Rams or the Niners in the first round, bro. If we have to, so be it. I'm not scared of anyone.
Right.
Just from an ideal path.
Yeah.
Do you want to play potentially the best teams along with yourself in the conference in the first round? No. So, yeah. I would love to see a different matchup for us, but I guess I'm rooting for Seattle to fall. I guess that's what it is. If we don't go up, I'm rooting for Seattle to fall down.
I like it. So yeah, even though we kind of picked against Carolina earlier, I'll pull for Carolina today, especially even regardless of being an Eagles fan and who you want to see in round one, whatever from a seeding perspective. I like madness, and I would take a three-way tie heading in to week 18 with Seattle, San Francisco, and the Rams. So that would be fun to see how things play out, especially with Seattle and San Francisco playing each other in the final game. So
otherwise, next week's going to be dead. Like, it's going to be boring.
I know. Let me ask you, and obviously we'll talk about this over on the pregame show in a minute. I know we got to jump off and get that kicking before the 1 p.m. Slate starts. But as an Eagles fan, man, we dealt with it last year, but we dealt with it from a great amount of success, right? We ran away with the division. We were locked into the 2 seed. Saquon doesn't go for the record. And we rest everybody in week 18 at home against the Giants. How do you feel? But obviously no one cares about entertainment in week 18 compared to playoff success. But like resting versus fighting for seeding. How do you feel about it in week 18 specifically? Like this game, barometer test in Buffalo. This would be a humongous moral victory on top of an actual victory for the Eagles to go and get this win today. Yeah. But like just looking ahead to next week, even if Chicago loses and we win, like, are you like, oh, like, come on?
Right.
Or is it kind of like, let's get healthy and let's roll into the to the postseason?
It's interesting you say that. There's part of me that would love either way. I would love to beat Buffalo today in Buffalo. Yes. That is a goal of mine. I would love to do that. I think that's a big game for us. But I almost want Chicago to just win tonight and kind of just seal it. And, then we don't even have to speculate on it in week 18 because it's not just that you would be playing that game in week 18 right before the postseason. Yeah. You want to stay healthy. It's also the team you're playing as well and what they're known for. And it's in division, the things that they said after the last matchup. I'm just not throwing my guys out there to risk them. And this is the other caveat. If the Bears do lose tonight and we can potentially get that 2 seed, I think you can beat the Commanders with Tanner McKee. I really do. I think you can beat them with Tanner McKee and Tank Bigsby. I
agree, man. Especially if you're playing Josh Johnson, right? Like Mariota's even Mariota's fine, but like you're playing Josh Johnson at the link. I agree. I think for Pumper's boy, I think they could go out there. They did it last year. They beat the Giants last year. Compared to Washington, but
I think they could. Because I think the big thing, right? Obviously, Jalen, AJ, like the big names on the team, but that offensive line too. You want to keep those guys ready to go. Lane's coming back. You don't want any more injuries.
Even Jalen on the other side, Jalen Carter, who I'm alluding to. But man, no. So we'll obviously talk about it. We'll talk about it in a couple of minutes. As that's going to do it for this Sunday edition. Your week 17. Excuse me, jumping the gun here. Your week 17 kickoff show. As always, guys, you can find us on Twitter, which we're streaming on right now, at DSM_media. So if you aren't already, make sure to hit that follow button. It's where we're most interactive for the most part on social platforms. But where you can be most interactive throughout each and every one of our live streams is right here on the YouTube channels. They're in the link tree in our bio. For Turf Talk, check out the DSM Turf Talk YouTube channel. You'll see it right there. Make sure to smash that subscribe button, share it, like the video, whatever you're going to do to continue to help us grow. There's over 50 people in here right now. I'm going to assume most of you are over on the Twitter page. Help us out. Make it easier on yourself. If you want to comment, even if you don't want to comment, if you're not that person, you're not that guy, you're not that girl, just go subscribe and watch it over there. It helps us continue to grow. We'll be live on the DSM Philadelphia YouTube channel in a few minutes. So subscribe
Yes,
to that one if you're a Philly sports fan. We're going to be breaking down the Eagles and Bills game, in, like I said, in just a couple of moments. So subscribe, follow, share, like, all the buttons. Just hit all the buttons. It's the holiday season. The New Year's upon us. One of our goals is to continue to grow these channels, make it into something, make it into a fun community here as well. So for myself, for Scotty, for Terry's Niners, peace out, everybody, and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Peace, everyone.